what have you seen change in the home gym space since March of 2020?
I've seen an enormous investment into home gyms. I'm not that old, but when I was younger, a home gym was just a set of Sears weights in the backyard. And maybe you had a bench where the actual hooks on it landed right exactly where your hands needed to be. They were horrible. But now I'm seeing people building out these home gyms as if it's like the main staple of their home. Gyms are becoming more like, from an accessory side, they're tying their equipment into their identity. They're willing to spend more on it in order to customize it, to make it more them and uniquely themselves. So for AbMat personally, we sell products that take up an enormous amount of surface space. Racks, weights, and plates and barbells are very thin compared to some of our plyo boxes, our AbMats, our crash cushions that have huge surfaces on them. So I've recognized that as an opportunity to bring in some more customizations to the space. So we've invested very heavily into a very expensive UV printer that's arriving in the next month or two. So we're going to be able to UV print in 1,000 colors onto whatever you want and sell our products for the exact same retail price, but with each person's own custom logo juxtapositioned on each one of our products. And I think people will like that because it'll make it more uniquely them.
That's awesome.
Are you going to give it a test and do a temp tat with the UV printer?
One of the things that we did was actually we made a plyo box with, we just pulled a random image that had a ton of colors on it. So I have a plyo box in the back that has Danny DeVito holding a ham on it.
From ham.
Yeah.
I think Dylan hit the nail on the head with that, because obviously this home gym space has grown since COVID because people had no other option because the gyms were closing. And then also the fact that I think the mentality for a lot of people was like, okay, this is going to be like a permanent shift, because there are some people that are very worried to even go out in public spaces now. And there's the people that miss the gym and go back. But I think that especially since people have already invested in the home gym, there's less of a reason to return to commercial gyms because they just invested in all this equipment.
It's moved into education as well. People have learned more about how to do things on their own using body weight or the equipment that they had at their disposal, rather than, the mindless movements that you get on a Smith machine that you would use at from a Nautilus type company at an LA Fitness or Planet Fitness or One Life Fitness or any of those big box Globo gyms.
Definitely a great awakening, if you will, in 2020 to those that hadn't been exposed to how nice and how feasible and enjoyable it could be to work out in your own home. I think that the biggest change was probably that mindset. And people haven't been investing more progressively in their own health and wellness over the last, let's say 10 to 12 years. So I think it was a progression of that. And Patrick could probably talk a little more to this, but the CrossFit community required little equipment. So you could mimic that CrossFit workout in a home gym really easily with very little equipment. And so I think that was a big crossover too, is that how CrossFit incorporates so many people. And I've never been a CrossFit guy. I've never done CrossFit, but they somehow find a way to include people who wouldn't normally be in that type of exercise scenario into those workouts and get people excited and get people in that routine. And that was easily transferable to the garage gym. And then you see that you can do anything in a garage gym. It's like
over Zoom.
So where can I go with this?
Right. It's not just CrossFitters in the home gyms these days. It's
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like 1000%. I think, one beautiful thing that CrossFit did is it emphasized community around fitness, and it brought a ton of people together. And which I even think before that was a big component that was lacking, because when we had like little pockets of community. I came from like a powerlifting gym. I was training with Matt Winning back when he used to be at Westside, when I was 16 years old, through until he left there. And then I kind of followed him. So I kind of consider him my mentor in the strength and conditioning space. But, we had our community around powerlifting, and we had our, there was communities around weightlifting, but they were still kind of these very specialized sort of, Westside isn't like the most inviting place, or it wasn't, back then, but, CrossFit, it was marketed, hey, this is for everybody. And we're all kind of one big community. And what Jason said is, the equipment was very minimal. So a lot of these people created just little training spaces at home. And I think that the home gym community was always sort of just like a campfire that was burning brightly, but then March 2020 hit. It was just like pouring kerosene on that fire. It just kind of exploded. And previously, before that, CrossFit sort of shined the light on some of these other spaces like powerlifting, like Olympic lifting, like obstacle course racing, you know, because CrossFit started getting so competitive where a lot of these people were like, well, I'm not really into this as much anymore, but I love weightlifting, or I love powerlifting, or I love just being fit and healthy. So I'm just gonna kind of do my own thing. And then, like I said, fast forward to 2020, kerosene got poured on that fire, and it really expanded people's imaginations and thought processes behind their home training spaces, because they actually started thinking about it more. Because before, they were just, oh, I'll just go to the gym. But then when that wasn't an option and you put more time, effort, energy, and thought into your home training space, that's what, you know, created a whole bunch of opportunity and a whole bunch of growth. And honestly, I think it's really cool. And I really don't think it's going anywhere, because people found out how cool it is to train at home, or just that added benefit, you know, especially people with families. Training at home has been a huge game changer for me also, even though I have a facility to train in, but there's just something different about it. And definitely something special about it that, like I said, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's actually a good lead in to our next question. If anybody has any more opinions, feel free to